So something that I'm working on a lot right now in both in the public yoga classes and then when I'm working with my training groups to understand this process is the practice of going from compression to decompression. Because we don't like, as a species, we don't like to feel compressed. We don't want to be compressed for too long. For example, you don't want to wear clothing that's too tight and have to do that for a long time. You don't want to feel like the pressures are coming down upon you for a long time. And other ways that we feel compressed, we do it mentally, we do it culturally, we do it systemically. And then the ways that we've learned to decompress in our society are not all that healthy. Some of them are not healthy means for doing it. So yoga is a way to decompress. But we're actually going to use compression and decompression in class today. So you can sense how you might be able to de-accumulate during the day. So it's not just an accumulation of pressure, feeling compressed, and then looking to decompress. So let me push back from my computer a little bit. And we'll start with a seat where we can have a bit of meditation time, and then we'll come into our chanting. So please rest your hands in your lap. And if you'd like to, you can close your eyes. We could feel mentally compressed or physically or sometimes even emotionally or spiritually. I'm not saying that you're feeling compressed right now, just that these are different ways that it shows up. So a couple things you might notice in terms of reflecting on that for yourself. Like observe the quality of the breath just as it's happening. You don't have to modify it. So observing, does the inner body feel spacious? How welcome does your breath feel? You can also ask, like, of the mind, are its tendencies kind of constricted right now or expansive? Does your mind feel like it can be grounded in the here and now, or is it distracted and flitting? Do you have any sense of mental pressure happening? And then you can also ask, in terms of the inner experience, how burdened does your mind feel, or how open and available? When we ask these questions, we're never asking them to then judge ourselves for what we sense. This is the nature of inquiry. It doesn't come with judgment. No duty to judge yourself for what you observe. So now lengthen your spine so you're sitting a little more upright. Lift your ribs away from your hips so there's a kind of internal invitation for space within you. And then deliberately welcome the breath to go deeper and to be wider. So you could sense the inhale coming down, filling out the pelvic basin, widening into your back ribs, your side waist. And to the extent that you are able to or less able to take a full breath, it might mean that there is a residue of kind of the unfinished exhales or the residue of stress or tension within you. So sometimes we can't get a full breath. We feel we can't breathe deeply. because there's a residue that has to be released. The decompression has to happen. So let's interlace the fingers and then press your arms up overhead. Lift your rib cage again and see if this position might allow for your breath to come down a little bit more into the pelvis. And then when you exhale, push out to the sides of your room. Press out with your shoulders, come down with your arms. And as you come down, then join your palms at your heart and ask for the best possible outcomes of your yoga practice this morning. We're going to practice mindfulness of the feeling tones of internal pressure or the feeling tones of the release of pressure, the feeling of compression or decompression. Everything is on the spectrum, so please keep your inquiry flexible and open. We'll begin with Sahana Vavatu. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Savidyang Karavavai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Virvishavai. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Savidyang Karavavai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Virvishavai. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Savidyang Karavavai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Virvishavai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. You may bow your head to your heart and release your hands, open your eyes. And we're going to begin with something simple. I want to give you a little better view. Turn your right hand face up, please, and then go inside out to stretch your fingers and your wrist and your forearm. You can bring your arm down a little ways if you want to. It's okay to relax your right shoulder. It doesn't need to be up next to your ear. Stretch your right thumb out to the side, right? So even though you've got your fingers, your thumb is free. Stretch it out to the right. And imagine your breath going down into your right hand. Imagine the exhale leaving out through your right arm, out through the heel of your hand, your fingers and your thumb. And do that again. Breathe into your right hand. And then exhale, blow out down through your right arm, through your palm, through your fingers, through your thumb. And then release your right hand and let both arms dangle for a moment. So you're going to likely sense your right hand gets a little bit warmer relative to your left. It might also tingle a little bit. And then take your left palm face up, turn your hand inside out, and bring this down. So you're going to stretch your left forearm, relax your shoulder, and breathe in with your inhale, send it down to your left hand as if you could breathe into the center of the palm. Stretch your left thumb out to the side. And then exhale like you're blowing out through your left arm, out through your palm, your thumb, your fingers. And do that twice more. So you imagine the exhale leaving, and we're using imagination because you don't actually exhale out through your hand, but imagine it leaving and taking with it the pressures or the stressors, the activities of the body and the mind. And then bring this one back up. Okay, and shake your hands. So let them actually dangle loose. So when you're shaking, it is like you're shaking water off your fingers, but since people don't tend to do that for a long time, I like to say, imagine you're shaking a slug off of each hand, as if somehow you got a slug on your hand. Give it a good shake. And keep that shaking going. So you want the elbows and the forearms to be loose, like rubbery. We'll do a few more moments. And then we do it 5 times powerfully. We go like this: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let your arms dangle now. And imagine from your heart down to your arms, there's a revival of your circulation. And as you do that, see if your body might want to have a deep inhale. Yeah, you might actually feel like yawning. That's okay too. And then take your right hand forward, palm face up. Do it this way. So face your palm towards you. Hold your right hand with your left and turn. You're giving a little twist to the wrist and then bring that down. So that's a twist and like a little forward bend to the wrist. Yeah. And again, you can breathe into that. The sensations of your right hand might be from activities that you're very dedicated to, like gardening or doing political advocacy on your computer. I know some of you are involved in that, or caring for other beings. So your right hand you can breathe into and say thank you. And then with your right hand in that twist, start to unwind your wrist and let your hand dangle down. And notice when the warmth returns to your fingers. So we added compression to the wrist joint there. It means that we kind of closed the joint for a moment and then we released it. And that's why the warmth goes back down into your hand. So take the other palm face up, left one up, left hand to face you. Reach, rotate, and come down. So though we're going to address your whole body in yoga practice, to address your brain, the state of the brain that goes to compression, you can actually use any one of these techniques, like a miniature yoga moment. So you are temporarily limiting the blood supply into your left hand because of the position that you're in. So breathe down into your left hand and say thank you for all the activities that your fingers and your thumbs do for you. And one more time, breathe in. Now, when you start to release the rotation, automatically on the release, it's like turning a faucet. The circulation goes back, your hand gets warmer. Let both arms relax and dangle down. And see again if your body might be inclined to have a deeper breath because it wants to. And some of this decompression from the heart circulating back out to the hands initiates the relaxation response. And you might actually feel like yawning. That's okay too. Okay, so now I'm going to shift back to my chair seat. Let me change my camera and we can meet up once I get back there. One moment. Of course, the kittens were sleeping between classes and now they're wrestling on the floor over here. So you might have to hear the gymnastics of kittens wrestling with each other during class. Okay, so I'm going to take my chair to sit forward facing you guys to start. So let me just make a little change on that. And sit at the front edge of your chair, please. So we're going to sit at the front edge. Also, take your feet a little bit wide. So you've got a tripod base is what I often call it. And I want that tripod base to be stable for you so that when you come forward, when you bow forward, you're going to feel no sense of tipping off of the chair forward. So just check that this is possible for you where you're sitting right now. And then we're going to turn the palms face out. Okay, as you inhale, raise your hands and arms up. Turn the clasp of the hands inside out. Exhale, push up. Inhale, reach up and look up. And then exhale, sweep the arms wide on your way down to release your torso and your head. And try to exhale completely. We're going to use a blowing exhale, blowing out the mouth the next time that we come down. But just get a sense of what your ragdoll right here feels like at the moment. Check and see that your hips are stable enough. And your heels and feet are supporting your stability too. And then hands to your knees. Inhale, rise up to sitting. Take your palms out, palms facing out. Okay, so breathe in through your nose. Inhale to go up. Breathe out through the nose, clasp your hands, push up. Breathe in through your nose, look up. Breathe out through the mouth. And relax the lower belly and allow the next inhale just to come and to greet you inside. So we added compression at the end of the exhale. When you blow out like that through the mouth, you have to use abdominal strength a little bit more, and that's on purpose right now. So place your hands on your knees, press down, rise up to sitting. Okay, turn your palms face out again. Inhale, rise up, lift your ribs, let the inner body expand. Interlace your fingers, exhale, push up, draw the lower belly in during your exhalation. Inhale, reach up and look up. And then blowing out. As completely as you can. And then relax the lower belly. Let the next inhale come in. And then hands to your knees. Press down to rise up. And take a seat, feet hip distance apart. And just pause to feel it again. If you were to ask, okay, how constricted does the body feel or how spacious? What is the feeling on the spectrum between a sense of space inside or a sense of compression inside? And then check and see what it's like if you try to take one deep breath cycle, a full inhale and a full exhale. How does your body do with that at this point? And so now we'll add a seated twist, and this is a familiar practice for most of you who are here. So walk to the right side of your chair. When you walk over, if you're someone who's had a hip replacement or you're teaching people with hip replacements, I'm going to recommend that you you have it be a practice that they put a block between the knees in this position, because if the right side is the hip replacement, we don't want their right knee collapsing in against the left knee when we're doing the twist, because you're adding flexion, adduction, and internal rotation if you do that. So put the block between the knees for people who've had a hip replacement, or if somebody has a sacroiliac dysfunction, the block can help to stabilize their awareness of the pelvis, thighs, and knees. Lift your chest and please rotate to your right. So in this case, when you inhale, try to sense the breath being expansive, especially in the back hemisphere of the body. And when you exhale, try to imagine the tone of the abdominal muscles supporting the exhale to kind of be ushered out. And so your attention can go like inhale, back body, and then exhale, pelvic floor, low belly, front body. Let's do 3 more breath cycles. Try to sense the inhale as a chance to decompress the inner body, you're expanding. The exhale is actually right now purposeful compression of your lower belly to give a good squeeze of those muscles. And then release those for the next inhalation. And then with your next exhale, rotate back around the face towards your knees. And then spin yourself about on your chair to the other side. And sitting up straight and tall, lengthen your spine. And then rotate to your left. You can hold the upper back of the chair with both hands. And as you're turning, welcome the inhale to explore the back hemisphere of your body. And the exhale to be a purposeful time of some compression from the front belly in towards your spine. Now it would be natural during the inhale for you to feel like the pose unwinds a little bit, it slightly untwists. Then you might find that during the exhale, your capacity for twisting is a little bit enhanced. But please in no way be forceful with your body for the twisting. And with your next exhale, release your pose to come about and face towards your knees. And pause again to check on the inside. There's a process occurring right now, and the process, we hope, is one of your body inside recognizing, okay, we can kind of let down the tension. We can lower the volume of tension in the body. And then spin about to face forward. If you had a block between the knees, you can set that aside and please come up to standing. And I'm going to ask you to stand. Put the upper back of the chair as your support. And stand with it next to your left hand. So if you stand kind of, for me, I'm in the center of the chair here, and I'm going to ask you to put 1 foot forward and 1 foot back. This is going to be my left hand right now, so left hand on the chair. Put the right foot forward and the left foot back. And let's put the left foot at a slight angle back there so that your heels could be lined up front to back on the mat, or you can have the heels wider, but the back foot at that angle is to help you put your heel down. Now when you put your heel down, place it only so far back that you do feel like you could bring your hips to be somewhat forward, if not mostly forward. Okay, and then as you inhale, breathe into the low belly, and exhale, bend your right knee while keeping your left heel grounded. Inhale, straighten your right leg, put more weight into your left heel, Lift your chest and your heart. And exhale, bend your right knee, keep the left heel grounded, tone your low belly. So inhale, straighten your right leg. Notice how much more weight goes into your left. Keeping that, when you exhale, bend your right knee. Twice more. So inhale to straighten, purposely root down into your right foot, make it very strong. Exhale to bend and purposely keep your left heel really grounded. Again, last one. Now we're going to pause right here. So this much bend on your right leg is not really officially a huge amount of compression. So this pose is not meant to feel compressive, but there is right here an inclination for some people to collapse into the hip joint. So I want you to keep the left leg strong and make a little lift at the right hip bone. So there's a bend in your right hip and thigh, but not a sense of compression in the hip joint. Now the strength of your left leg, the back leg, that's a consideration for lots of people that we overlook because we become preoccupied with the front leg. Keep the back leg rooted and grounding. Even press into the toes of your left foot back there. And exhale completely. Press into your heels. And then inhale, straighten your right leg. And rotate both feet towards the chair so your legs become parallel. And notice the temperature change going down your left leg. So you might wonder, well, how am I having that temperature process if I didn't really have compression? We're going to the other side, so I'll help you understand that. So left foot forward, right foot back. So when your leg is in the back position and you're down in that pose, the structures of the body are putting a little pressure, the muscles, against the circulation. So when you rose up to stand, you had more circulation going back down through your back leg. And that's why your foot might have felt a little bit warmer, your left foot compared to your right foot. Okay, breathing in, press into your right heel. And then exhale, bend your left knee. Notice if it's harder or easier to keep your back foot grounded when it's your right leg. So inhale to straighten and strengthen your left leg. And exhale to bend. Keep your right leg very steady back there. Notice that you're squeezing the muscles on the front of the right thigh too, as well as the back. Inhale, strengthen your left leg, straighten it. Good, exhale to bend. And inhale to straighten. Okay, one more time. Exhale, bend your left knee. Okay, and there you are. You're going to sustain the pose. So no sense of compression in the front hip, even though the leg is bent. Lift the left hip up off of your left thigh. So this space, you feel like you could put your fingers in there and it wouldn't be, it's not like you're squeezed out. With the back leg, as you make the back leg strong, squeeze your right butt. Those muscles are there for using, not for decorating. Press into your right heel, right big toe. Press the tailbone gently forward. So what's happening is we're opening parts of the body, but there's also this pressure that goes against the circulation process right here. So you're feeling the muscles of the surface, they get to stretch, the skin gets to be more supple, the front of the hip joint is being asked to open, and there's a little pressure down against the femoral artery. Let's breathe in. And then straighten your left leg, your front leg, make both feet parallel. And check and see from the inside if you feel like there is some warmth going down your right leg. And then go heel toe into center. Okay. So that might be a surprising part of the process. Now we're going to turn to use the upper back of the chair for dog pose. So you place both hands at the wide part of the upper back of your chair and step backwards. You can straighten both arms, spin your triceps in towards each other. And as you're reaching back with your spine, try broadening the back hemisphere of your body with the inhalation. And this is a really important time. Some of you are working on strengthening your breathing, some of you in this class. So let's give special attention to how you exhale in this position. During the exhale, squeeze your lower belly in as if you were squeezing a sponge. During the inhale, release that slowly. And then during the exhale again, as if you were squeezing a sponge. And twice more. Last one. Exhale like squeezing a sponge. Keep your arms very steady. And press down with your hands against the upper back of the chair. Turn the left heel in just slightly and step your right foot forward up towards the toes of the chair. So with the back heel grounded now, when you're pressing into that, some of you are gonna actually find you're stretching your left calf muscle. The front of the left ankle is temporarily more compressed, not more open. Now bend your right knee. Your chair can be used for balance, but don't push on it. It's not a grocery cart. So as you come into your right leg, the left hip is opening on the skin, the myofascial system, the musculoskeletal system here. And yet I want you to squeeze the leg muscles. So you're asking for some compression, almost like wearing compression socks for those of you who've done that. You're asking for some compression here while you're also lengthening through your leg bones. Lift up through your chest and heart. Press down against the upper back of the chair to make a little back bend in your upper body. And then keeping your left leg grounded and your left hand on the top of the chair, raise your right arm up. Breathe in smoothly and deeply into your pelvis. Now when you next exhale, lower your right arm, lower your gaze forward, and straighten your right leg. Now turn to your left so that you can make the feet parallel, and notice what happens down your left leg. And what happens to your breath? I mean, you might even feel like yawning, right? It's all good. Let's do the other side. So if you'll step backwards to your dog pose again, I like to practice this transition for us, how we go from the upper back of the chair to step forward. So you take a deep breath in. Now put the right heel in on an angle. Press down against the upper back of the chair with both hands. Step your left foot forward. So that transition did require some abdominal strength and balance. I trust you guys. So with the back foot now, press down into your right heel. Find your toes back there also. And then start to bend your left knee and notice what happens in your right ankle joint, your right thigh, your right hip. As you come down and down, we're not going super deep, but notice what's changing with your right foot. Now imagine the muscles of your right leg compressing in against the bones on purpose, so they're toning, and yet you want to lengthen the bones of your right leg back down into your heel. Keep the pubic bone gently lifted. And as you press down against the upper back of the chair with both hands, raise your chest and your heart. And if you can keep your balance, also raise your left arm. Let the breath be smooth, so it helps your mind to feel more smooth and stable. Now breathing in. Keep your legs really steady, but as you exhale, lower your left hand down. You might touch the upper back of the chair. And then straighten your left leg and turn your feet to the right so your legs become parallel. And notice what happens going down your right leg. And you can step into mountain pose. And let's take a little pause to ask again, okay, on that spectrum between feeling compressed inside or feeling spacious, where do you find yourself now? If you close your eyes, can you sense a balance point in your mountain pose that isn't about your gaze? And how available to the present moment is your mind? Now, let me just get a sip of my tea. The kittens are wrestling under the computer there, so it's endearing. Both of the kittens have these illnesses, so they were doing a lot of resting, actually, a lot of sleeping. Now they're doing a lot of wrestling, a lot of playing. Okay, so we're going to take the chair seat and turn it around. Like this. And I'm going to ask you to put a blanket on the floor here where you're going to have the opportunity to lightly touch your knees down. That's the word lightly is an important word in the sentence. So for some of us, you know, that exhale that I was talking about where you kind of squeeze the belly like a sponge, how are we going to get that to happen? Some of that is going to be abdominal strength in the muscles, the transverse abdominis across the abdomen here. You also do need some oblique strength and some of your rectus abdominis strength. Let me be clear that the superficial belly muscles are not in charge of your exhale, but to the extent that the transverse abdominis is down there for the exhale, we want to increase belly tone from the inner muscles most, and then the next layer, and then the next layer. So what we're going to do here, when you step, as if you start here, you can watch for a moment. We're going to be stepping backwards to the dog pose. We're going to come forward to what would be plank pose, and then I'm going to suggest that you very lightly touch the knees down using your arm strength and your abdominal strength. Then we go back up to plank. We're going to go back to dog pose. And it's my guess that in this part right here, knees down, knees up, plank, you're going to feel the possibility of going back to dog pose will be like a release for the belly. So let's try it out. You can test drive the distance that you are from your chair and where you've placed your blanket. And let's breathe in dog pose. And then exhale, roll forward to plank. Now breathe in plank pose. Make both arms strong. Do not bend your elbows. Lower the knees part way or maybe all the way, but only lightly. And then inhale back up to plank. So the arms are still straight and still strong. And then reach backwards, downward facing dog pose. So notice what your inhale can feel like here. Again, exhale forward to plank. Inhale in plank pose. Press down against your chair with the strength of both arms. And exhale, lower your knees down very lightly. And inhale back up to plank. And exhale, reach back, downward facing dog pose. Complete your exhale and notice what the next inhale feels like. And then last time, we're going to come forward to plank as you exhale. Inhale in plank pose. And then exhale, lower your knees down slowly, slowly. Inhale, straighten, plank pose. And exhale, reach back, downward facing dog pose. Notice what the next inhale feels like. And then step over your blanket, rise up to standing. And now we're going to use the blanket to touch only one knee down. And that's going to come from your lunge position. So my guess is that your blanket will be a little bit further back. It's also possible that you want two blankets, right? Because if that's too far down to go, but you find yourself struggling to get there, you're going to then struggle to get back up from there. So you can have two or three, you can have pillows, whatever. You can use the dog if the dog's comfortable with that. So we're going to be placing the hands on the chair seat, and one foot will be forward like the lunge and the sun salute, and one foot will be back. So that, in my case, let me do my right foot forward with you. So right foot forward, left foot back. And what you can test drive is your ability to touch the left knee down lightly, and then to bring it back up. So for me, one blanket is fine. I'm not very tall. The chair I have is not tall. And I have some flexibility to touch down and then to get back up. Let's breathe in while the left leg is straight. Strengthen both arms and your right leg too. And then exhale and touch your left knee down lightly. It's not going to stay down, so don't park it. And then inhale to lengthen and strengthen your left leg. And exhale to lightly touch down. Inhale, lengthen and strengthen. And exhale. I know some of you, when you're touching down, you're also stretching your toes. Me too. Please know that. Inhale and lengthen and strengthen. And here's the last one. Exhale to lightly touch down. Now let's inhale and strengthen the back leg, straighten it, and do the same with your front leg. Then you can turn your back heel to the floor so you are balanced there. And you can make your own choice about how far forward to go over your right leg. You may relax the weight of your head. Keep both legs steady, but invite your inner body to be more and more relaxed. This is a pose called Parsvottanasana. Parsva means side and Ottana means extreme. So it's considered an extreme stretch of the side, the flank of the body. So you've got your outer hip, outer thigh, hamstring, calf, outer heel, outer hip, back side waist, right rib cage. Place your hands back on the chair seat where you can use them for support. And sorry, my chair squeaks. That's the chair I have. Let's step the left foot forward, please, and your right foot back. And you're going to test drive that you are positioned to touch your right knee down lightly. Okay. So in this case, again, let's inhale to strengthen and lengthen the right leg behind you. Keeping your arms straight, exhale, lightly touch your right knee down. And inhale to lengthen and strengthen. And exhale to lightly touch down, keeping tone in your lower belly and strength in your arms and your left leg. Inhale, lengthen and strengthen. And exhale, lightly down. And here's the last one. Inhale. And exhale. And now inhale to straighten. Let's straighten both legs. Pivot your back heel down, so that's a place to feel more balanced. And then you can decide how deeply forward over your left leg to come. And do keep your legs strong, and let the inner body relax. Forward bends are generally considered helpful in decompressing the mind because the nervous system has a downward and grounding feeling from a forward bend. And place your hands where you can best use them for the transition. And then step your feet to mountain pose. Rise up. Just stand and just try to sense once more. Now, where are you on that spectrum between feeling compressed or decompressed? And let's take this blanket and add one to it so we have two blankets. We're going to place the blankets near to the front edge of the chair. And that's where your hips are going to go. I have to wait just a moment here. Hello? Okay. So if you'll place the hips on the blankets, when you lie down, I'd like you to have your feet near to the front edge of the chair or on it, and the blankets under the back of your pelvis securely. So your hips are going to be a little bit higher than your heart here. And if gravity and you work together, the knees will kind of drop down towards the shoulders. Gravity helps you with that. We're going to be doing a pose called figure 4 pose. Hi, honey. And so just knowing that you are positioned where gravity can help you some, that is the place to start. And then slide your left leg out so you can cross your right ankle onto your left knee. And walk your left foot to the front of the chair. And then you can let gravity support you as your left knee brings your right ankle towards your left shoulder. And the right hip says, "Oh, good morning." And bring your breath down into your right hip. Sometimes just taking the focus away from the head, the part of us that we perceive as the thinking and the doing. Sometimes just bringing attention down. That's decompressive for the mind. Now gently slide your left foot over the chair seat. Place your right leg with it. And notice what happens inside your right hip joint. You have to have a capacity for the subtle. What happens inside the right hip? Now cross your left ankle over your right knee. Slide your right foot to the front of the chair. Good. And then let gravity help you in determining how much you bring your your right knee with your left ankle towards your right shoulder. And while you're breathing in and breathing out, a sense that there is this kind of intelligence happening in your left hip joint. So currently you have compressed the hip joint in terms of the circulation. You're also opening parts of the hip joint in terms of the musculoskeletal body. Now slide your right foot and leg back over the chair and the left leg, and notice what happens and the subtlety inside your left hip joint. And then bring both feet to the front of the chair and put the soles of your feet together, knees out to the side. And observe what happens. What are the sensations? What happens with your mind Maybe right now you can sense on that spectrum between pressure and depressuring, compression and decompression. How do things feel in the mind? And maybe even in your gut or in the low belly. And with some gentle tone across your lower abdomen, start to fold your knees up to center. And then you can take the legs out over the chair for Shavasana, to rest. Now, just having had that Baddha Konasana, there may be again a slight change of temperature in the hip joints, a sign that your body is recirculating and recalibrating. Now, this is the most important pose in the whole practice. What happens now is the lasting decompression, not just the brief experiences we have pose to pose, but a deeper experience. So let's invite this Shavasana time, this decompression time, to also be, if there were a mental pattern, if there were a thought habit that you wanted to also decompress, what might that be? Yesterday in our restorative afternoon session, we talked about that some of our thoughts, they stir up the frenzy, they build the compression, they add to the pressure. So what would be one thought you might allow it to decompress during Shavasana? body to deeply rest, for the mind to decompress even one thought habit. Allow the mind to get heavy with relaxation, and for your body to be more and more limp with ease. Again, invite your body to be heavy with relaxation. Allow all 5 senses to be inward and easeful. When you ask your mind to unravel a pattern, think of that as loosening a knot in the system. Even the beginning of the loosening is a part of the potential for the process. You'll welcome the ease to go a few degrees deeper. Just a couple more minutes of deep stillness. You can imagine it's not only the mind that decompresses a thought, it also supports your senses, the inner organs, your access to your intuition, the inner intelligence of life. And over the next few moments, without stirring your body, without really activating the mind, come into your imagination to imagine your life a little less compressed. What is something you may sense could emerge from that? You may lightly deepen your breathing and just gently wiggle your toes and your fingers. And bring your knees towards your chest. We're going to roll down to the right or left, depending on the space that you're in. As you roll down, you can then rest there a moment until you're ready to bring yourself up to sitting. We're going to sit in meditation for a bit together. So when you come up, take a comfortable seat, a stable seat, maybe in your chair, for example. When you come to your seat for meditation, even if it's a short meditation, let yourself sense the outcome of your practice, the influence of that within your mind, not only within your body. And join your hands together at your heart. Reminding yourself of the feeling tone of your practice right now. Make a commitment to come back to this felt sense several times throughout the day, even using one small practice from what we did together. Thank you very much, everyone. Namaste. Hi. I'm going to change my camera so I can see you better. Yeah, you can see me better is the phrase. All right, how are you feeling? That's nice. Yeah, I got that, Ellen. Yeah.